That's for anybody who wants to speak to the school board. Huh?
No,
I will go up there, but not to speak.
Smart too.
it's not that. It's on first. Yeah, for that.
You are?
What one left? Or it's so. Yes.
You don't want that.
This and this.
They're almost the solar is.
The Pearl Harbor.
The school, what are you looking for?
I was thinking it was.
Memorial. And
It was
going-
interesting. Look in your board packet. Yeah, there's 3 folders. One says student guide, one says budget, and one says board. Are you waiting on me? Hey, it's talking about on vacation. I believe it.
Yeah, Rutherford.
Yeah, that is my liver grade. So, yeah, this took place. Live on that.
You all stand.
Well, I'm coming into town and they're spraying into the fields with this huge drone, and of course I had to go as I went by, so it just takes time. Oh my gosh, that's just awesome.
Who's drowned?
I don't know.
It's been sprayed out. Also, right?
On mosquitoes or?
No fields,
Like,
crops,
that way they can target exactly what they need to hit.
awesome.
Stop rocks.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, I have a meeting, gee.
Taking a word.
Yeah.
Well, here, the base is that way.
Oh, geez. How's everybody?
Yeah, you make them John.
I'm trying to remember if he was 5:45. What were you worried about?
Melissa's sending us a home, but that's okay. We can move. We were gonna start.
Well, did he say anything about being out of town this week?
Not that I know
I think that was just last meeting, wasn't
of. I thought so.
it?
You are ready, Mr. Chairman.
What one we got first?
Students.
Student lunch increase. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing for the student lunch increase. Anybody want to talk about that?
Yep. So every year, the USDA requires us to go in and increase our fees for the student meals. The minimum they make us raise the rates is 10 cents, and that's what we did this year. So the elementary breakfast, it went from $1.60 to $1.70. The secondary went from $1.85 to $1.95 for breakfast. And then the lunch prices for elementary is $3.35 for elementary to $3.45. And then secondary is $3.55 to $3.65. On the publication, there is a spot where there is an increase to the adult meal price that is set by the USDA. We don't have any control over that, so there's a 15-cent increase on both of those meals as well. So that's everything I have for the increase.
All right. I've already signed up for public input. Well,
No, nobody.
You taking a nap over there?
No, I was reading this and it caught me by surprise. And I looked over there, I was like, yeah, I said, no, I was right.
First time today. you've got it.
That's the first time I did today. I just sat there all day.
You're not gonna speak.
So they let us keep the milk price the same? They didn't make us raise that?
They don't make us change it, so I just left it alone.
And it's like they raise they wanna raise everything else, so.
Correct.
You got questions for? Anybody on
No, we discussed this before.
this? Yeah, last year this time.
The spring, we knew it was gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah. Over you. And the first time you do that, we'll have multiple people that want to discuss why we're raising. You know what? We can. Yeah. All right. So go ahead and we close it up, Sharon.
Yes, I think, historically, we've never had anybody come. to us,
Right.
so.
All right, so we'll go ahead and close this public hearing and wait 10 minutes for the next one. Topher here in for our Teacher of the Year locally, and he was our state award recipient. Unfortunately, he didn't get the national award, but they sent us a name certificate with a picture of the Commander in Chief for the VFW, congratulating him on being the state winner this year for the middle school level.
All right,
And we,
Congratulations.
thank you.
there you go. And we also have a certificate that, we're gonna get to the middle school is to Hacker as well for them to display for having the teacher of the state teacher of the year for Idaho, the middle school there. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Do I have to wait around for the next 10 minutes?
No.
Not unless you wanna be here.
You should ask James whether or not you want to be attending your phone to me.
Not yet, kid.
Not yet.
1 minute.
I was gonna say, I've got 5:59.
So do I.
It's been 5:59 for a while, so I figured by the time I said that, it would change.
It still hasn't changed this.
Say it again.
It's time.
It's time.
There we go, now it's 6 o'clock. All right, so we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for any input for the budget for 25-26. Levi,
Okay, so back in May, we did have a budget workshop where I presented the budget. That was kind of a brief to go through and just get everybody the numbers. So for the revenue, first category is going to be our local revenue. That is set at $3,448,813. County revenue is 0. State revenue is $26,854,676. Other state revenue is $1,342,700. And if you guys should have, looks like that right there. Federal revenue is $1,250,000. Other sources is 1,000, and then transfers is 0. So the total revenue is $32,897,189. The next category will be expenses. First expense is going to be salaries. That is $19,946,183. Benefits is $7,763,121. Purchase services is $5,360,300. Supplies is $1,023,400. Capital will be $260,000. Other, which is our insurance, is $280,000. And then transfers, which is the transfer to food service, is $50,000. For total expenses of $34,683,004. And then that leaves a revenues under expenses of $1,785,815.
questions? No. So I have one. There was some stuff came out today through Idaho Ed News and some other sources. The governor's talking about a 6% holdback. Because revenue is 124 million under expectation at this point. How will this affect what we have here for our proposed budget?
So I just saw that today. I haven't had a chance to actually run the numbers to see what that is going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be a lot of the, basically the 6% cut towards the foundation payments.
Okay.
I don't have an exact number yet, so.
Yeah. That would be covered through our fund balance, correct?
It would be covered through the fund balance, yes.
Trustee Binion, I think another thing to just kind of at least have in the back of our minds too is depending on severity of that, you know, with the Stevenson project and the continuing resolution with Congress, I think we need to be really cautious on how we proceed with that. You know, prior to this news, I would have said I feel comfortable that we could cover the 20% if we needed to. But I don't think this is a short-term holdback either. You know, they talked about the decrease in revenue to the state. They're $141 million behind in the last 2 months. And so Wendy Harmon has already said that budgets will be cut next year in the legislative session. Yeah. So it's something to keep in mind, and I'm very thankful we have the fund balance we have. It's, you know, it will allow us to ride through that economic rough patch much better
For a while.
for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, between the last 2 years, we're what, 3.2
Yeah,
under, so. I think it's something to keep a really close eye on.
yeah.
Yeah, well, they're pretty new to this, but have to look at somewhere. And so Stevenson, do we expect that? Forward this fiscal year? Or?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything that would say no, but I also don't see a lot of change in how Congress is working together on things either. And so I'm not sure. But we haven't had any indication from Simpson's office that they expect anything different with it. I don't want to get the district into a position where that 20% has to come out right now. So we're already in the design phase. We're approved for the design phase. We've got the building pretty well designed. And so as long as we continue with that progress, we haven't submitted the construction phase of the grant. So there's no money requirement right now until we submit that construction phase.
We're still pending the lease, so we're at
Yes.
least a year out.
Yeah, the lease is gonna be a while, so we actually got an update on the environmental assessment that has been submitted for, like, they've done everything they can out there. It's been submitted, so now it's just gotta go through the channels there. One of the things that we are having and I was gonna give an update on some of this, but we'll have it now. So we have to have an appraisal done out there on it, and so the Corps of Engineers is who would do that appraisal. So on April 1st, I emailed the Corps of Engineers with a question about how we set this up and never received a response. And so I forwarded that email to Dominique, who gave it to one of the colonels who reached out to one of the Corps of Engineer folks. And we just found out this week that the request actually has to come from the installation to the Corps. So,
Of course.
yeah. So it's moving at the speed of government.
Well, and given the current economic outlook, that may be okay.
Yeah,
I hate to say that.
yes. Yeah,
Wanting it to move forward, but when the construction commitment comes around.
Yeah.
That's gonna be.
well, I think this too is something that we've looked at, it's that idea of you don't know you're in a recession till after the recession's over.
Right.
I think the economic indicators are pretty strong that we are, in it right now. And so, yeah, again, just very thankful that you as a board have been very conservative in how you've budgeted to give us that flexibility. And I think that, you look, not every district's gonna be in that position where they can absorb some of that for a couple of years.
But if we look at our fund balance, where everybody's got about this 14 million. Well, if 6% comes out of what expected state revenues are supposed to be. Just recalculations, you're about 1.7 billion off that 28 million. And then we're talking 1.3 that we're already short. And then you look at 6.9 on the 26 to 9 billion on 20%. Well, we don't have anywhere close to 14 in that fund balance at this point.
No, it's gonna leave you where you,
We're
way below what the audit.
yes. So, I mean, is this something that we need to review some of this budget before we approve it? I hate to say that, but when you look at that and you look at what potential holdback for the 20%, you look at potential. And I agree with you, I don't think that the 6% is gonna be short term. I suspect that it's going to be long term.
Yeah,
And, all of a sudden. the documentation we got out is not even close to being, just one time. So I mean, I'd like to see some revised numbers. I really, would. I mean, I don't want to approve something because when you approve it, then you gotta go back.
Well, I think the thing to remember on this too, Fred, it's proposed budget, and then we can always amend the budget again throughout the year too, so.
Sure.
If we, right now, the 6%, we don't know if we're, I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
if that's gonna be where they go with it. And so I think we'll have better direction on this probably by the beginning of the school year on what they're actually looking at as far as holding back. So, you know, where do you make your adjustments? You make your adjustments in staffing.
Which that's 80% of our budget, so.
And so.
Right, yeah, and you know, and again, you know, staff, we got some of that discussion, you know, you know. Hard to believe it, hard to imagine what you do with your staff, you know, I mean, yes, you're expecting a smaller number of students than last year. But what do you count?
Yeah.
In advance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in advance, you know, but I mean,
It's not
again,
actual, yeah.
you know, our presented numbers are saying this.
Yeah.
But that's, and we know, I mean, whether he ends up at 6% or 8%, 4%, he's gonna do it. There's no question in my mind, because being that far behind this time last year on tax revenue coming in. And then we've also got, you know, there's 50 million that's gonna come out of that because of the homeschool, public school, private school thing that, you know, so his 6% might be a little conservative at this point. And, you know, they're looking, you know, he's already got it endorsed for the third term. Yeah, the announced he's gonna go that, but some of the other people have. You know, so I mean, I don't know, like I said, I've got a number in front of me, I don't want to be able to bank on that number. And right now, again, going back to this, I mean, I suspect, I don't even know if we'll know by the time school starts, if we're gonna have to hold out anything for Stevenson. I would suspect that you won't see anything until maybe October on that.
Well, I'm confident that, you know, if it's whatever the holdback is, that we're in good position.
Well, I'm not saying we're not in a good position, I believe we are in a good position. But again. Go back to negotiations, all that stuff, everybody's looking at this, well, there's 14 million out, there's 14 million, but there's not.
Yeah.
It's not there.
But I think with what we have for the fund balance, these numbers will be good. We're not committed to anything hard committed, anything with Stevenson at this point.
No,
And what we're doing until we hit construction phase.
until we are to the point where we are hitting the send on the construction phase grant. But I'm of the opinion right now that we will continue to wait until we have the commitment from at the federal level.
Right.
Right, you know, if it
Yeah.
takes 2 years, it takes 2
Right,
years.
and we won't know until Donnie signs that.
Yeah.
Because it can change, I mean, it can be on the bill when he presents it, but it can also be taken out.
Yeah.
When we go to negotiations with the House and stuff, but until Trump signs it, we don't know, and we don't know what his credit funding is gonna look like. As he's trying to dismantle everything up there and.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So, but I think right now, with what we have. You know, fund balance is gonna be fine. And we can always come back, and if we need to review some, you know, if it becomes out of supplies or. Wherever we gotta take it from. I don't think we're gonna go 14 million in the hole. I know,
No.
and I realize we're 3 now.
Yeah, no, we're in a good position again because you have built a budget for times like this.
Mhm.
You know, now, when we get into this, then that following year, if what the legislature's telling you if they're coming in and say, we're gonna cut, then we're gonna be in that lower next budget season of, okay, now what do we go eliminate? Versus, and that's where the disconnect is right now, the legislature set budget.
Right.
And now the governor's coming in saying, potential holdbacks that don't necessarily align with what was budgeted, but.
We had the whole back during COVID and we got part of it, and we got part of it back. We didn't get it all back.
Yeah.
When they did the 5% hold
Yeah,
for that. I mean, we got, I think, 2% back or something like that. So, I mean, they may do an initial 6 and it'll give us something back.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not concerned about us having the money, I'm just concerned about the others out there that are really affecting them, just one.
With that too, I do think that as a starting point, though, that it's important to look at the budget, then approve the budget, to have that in place. And then we go back and amend when we have a more concrete view of what the holdbacks are gonna be. And all of that, because right now it's speculation, we can say that, but just like Levi said, doesn't really numbers, but. I do think just to get it in place, though, that it's important to approve it and then amend it.
And we have to have it in place by July 1st by code, right?
Yeah.
So,
then it can be amended.
right, I think we get to a point where we need to address this, especially when we.
Yeah, like I said, if we might have to.
Have a clearer picture.
Yeah.
So, we all of a sudden get a bunch of kids and we'll get a higher next round. So
So I think it could be the other way around, much that though.
Well,
I mean, that's what I don't want to see. That's my issue. I don't want to see it. But again, I mean, who knows what's gonna happen? I don't. That's the last thing we want to see.
I think it's difficult to cut, much more difficult to cut than to start with a conservative budget and say, well, okay, you're a conservative. I don't know, but at this point, by July 1st, can we alter this and get it approved? But I think that's a really difficult thing to come back in October and say, we gotta cut this budget.
Yeah.
You've got everybody.
But that's what, I mean, but the thing is, with that whole balance, you're saying we can weather it this year.
Right.
Next year's numbers will be a completely different story.
I think we're gonna really have to cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just can't help, I think it's in this, with all of them, starts with everybody can move that start.
I mean,
I do think that we are, just watching how the involvement is, I think we can bonds. And I think we base this on, but then looking at our elementary school and health school. And so, you look in there and it's every other grade is a bump where they were. Then you go, that's positive, it hasn't been like that. So, I think we're here, our didn't occur as much this year as a big class. Where you typically see growth is at high school, and I think you're gonna see that here.
Wow.
In time, like, that's the age level where there's more options for kids and they're taking advantage of that.
Right.
I do think our elementary, I would be surprised if we're not up at the elementary, just based on this historical trend, start the year here. And by the end of the year, you're here. So there's always this decline. That decline was not as big this year. So.
Were you able to read Dominique's letter? I put in the board packet this afternoon.
No.
And she said that all the people she has spoken, she has to email anytime. So almost all of them are really working.
Yeah.
So she doesn't expect.
No, we're about that.
Okay.
So.
I know that, I mean, they're increasing that on the base by approximately 200. Military, it'll be a mix of families and we'll get some that'll stay here, some that'll go both and stuff, so we'll see a small bump, I think. Maybe probably in down there.
Yeah.
That people will age will be on these guys coming in, we're not bringing in, there won't be as many of the older folks, there's maybe a lot of younger folks, I How many year fives is more than friendly lieutenants and young captains and stuff that will probably kind of based on what they're talking about, so what they want to do with this, because you see the flood of combat one concept that they're doing. We're not gonna bring in the colonels, they got the lieutenant colonels before words, they got teenagers and lots of seniors and chiefs that have teenage kids, it's gonna be your younger people. So you'll see some singles, some families, but primarily on the range, we'll see probably a slight increase in that.
Or to John's point, just with the sheer number of houses, you know, okay, not everyone is buying those houses. It's a retiree.
Right.
State.
The multifamily, if they have kids, they're gonna be young kids.
Yeah.
Right, then, I mean, there's how many apartments, within the last year and going forward a year, it was good. Well, you know,
Well, the city hasn't been a developer very long.
Enrollment trend was better this year, but it's been the last 3 years.
There, so I did the budget workshop. There was a lot of good information in both sessions, I missed the first one, but I watched the recording. Some things that I'd like to share going forward, I felt like it was too late to start bringing them out this year. But,
Good.
a lot of it was in dealing with relations with the public and how to put forth that budget information. And like I say, I haven't seen it here yet, but I'd like to share that and,
Yeah.
it should be something that is put out to the public. There were some schools that put some out that were just, it's like, wow, you know, I mean, even if their budget is not positive information that they put out, but a really good face forward for the district. And it may change people's attitudes somewhat about the district to show, you know, what their dollars are buying.
So because of the turnout we have here.
Yeah, and
Where's the association?
Yeah.
No.
And you wish it'd be full. I mean,
yeah,
Well, but that's like. It's important to somebody there, yeah. Be very invested.
today, almost not considered. I hate to see someone complain without being informed.
Yeah.
If they don't come in that informed, or if you don't present that information, I think that's what's important.
but they just wanna stay stuck. where they are.
Yeah.
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 Anybody else? You guys got any input? On the budget? No, you can't get more money.
Don't ask Catherine that, please.
It's an input, but that I won't share it now.
You wake over there.
You slept all day through the conference.
He looks like the security guy right now.
That's right.
The bouncer.
All right, so we'll go ahead and close up the workshop in 7 minutes to the meeting. More like bull from Woodcourt over there. with- And we'll go ahead and call, you got a question? Like school, no question on that. Yes, I know. But I gotta call the meeting to order first. So, go ahead and join me in the pledge. How do you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And so there was no good news for this month. Move on to reports. James, give the superintendent report, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, a couple of things, and we've talked a little bit already on the whole backs and that kind of stuff, but just wanted to give you an update. If you have driven by Bennett, you see our newly constructed old portable out in front of the building, so we moved one of the portables from the high school to Bennett, and that's going to serve as additional room for community school programs over there. So it'll be fully functioning prior to school starting. We're actually gonna have water in there and sewer lining. So the idea behind that is then some of those programs aren't reliant on getting into the building and after school hours. And so it's a building that will get used a lot for those programs. And then the other update is, if you drive around a lot of the schools, you'll see that parking lot work is going on at several of those. And so those are some of the more noticeable things going on this summer. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on that and see if there was any questions.
Any questions? No. All right, we'll on to Board of Trustees Public Engagement Report. Already have anything to report this month?
No.
Public input? No. Move on to approval of the agenda or addendums. Take a motion to approve. This one will also change anything. So. All in favor?
I
Okay, all against. Consent agenda. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda unless somebody would like to have something pulled out.
move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
All in favor?
I
All against? No delegations? No unfinished business? Okay, approved proposal for the student meal fee increase that we just had the public hearing for. Levi?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, asking you to approve the student meal fee increase for FY 26.
No questions?
Yeah.
We'll take a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve, increase for 2025, 26.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Anyone against? All right, approval of the proposed budget. We just had the hearing for Levi. You want to talk about that?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, asking you to approve the budget for FY 26.
Questions? We'll take a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget for 25, 26.
All in favor? Anyone against? Discussion on changing the board meeting times. I put that on there, or asked to have that put on there. So I know we meet at 6:30. I was thinking about moving it up earlier. Does 5 to 5:30 work for you guys? So we're not here so late. And it also lets our staff kind of get home earlier in the evening. Really? Really? Preference on the time, 5 to 5:30? 5:30. 5:30, we gotta vote for 5:30. On once, on twice.
I was just thinking of, I mean, it's at 6:30 now, but up at a half hour to 6. I mean, at least it gives everybody a chance to get home and come back if that's their case. Makes no difference to me. Earlier than that is fine too. More than I know.
I,
Right?
you're ready to, you need, I think it was, 5 minutes, fine.
Okay. So we'll take a motion for 5:30 then if we're good to that.
I make a motion that we change the board meeting start time to 5:30.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Sharon, now we're gonna have to remind us all, cause we'll forget by next month, like we did the last time we changed this.
And also, when is this gonna be effective?
Immediately.
Next month.
And who seconded?
I did.
did.
Oh, but give it to Fred. Okay. So we have an authorization to purchase new Chromebooks. Jonathan, you wanna talk about that to us?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, ask you to approve, purchase of new Chromebooks for next school year. This is through one of our newer vendors, Bloom. The total purchase will be 950 devices. That will allow us to refresh, all of West Elementary and Stevenson Elementary, with some left over to refresh some of our other district offices like Micro TLL. As well, given some of the budget, concerns for next year, will leave us, some balance to use next year and reduce, a purchase for next, or, 26-27. The total price for those devices comes out to $209,950.
Jonathan, this is, we have to drop a bit on this because it's, this has already gone out to bid at the state level.
Correct, this is through, the state contract, so we were able to, avoid the RFP process.
What is our tech refresh schedule like for Chromebooks?
I'm sorry?
What is our tech refresh schedule like for Chromebooks?
Ideally, you work on it every year. I'm trying to get a 4-year cycle going. That's enough time to get most of your use out of your Chromebooks at the end of 4 years. They're pretty beat up, batteries are starting to die. So with the total number of devices that the district has, that comes out to roughly 1,000 devices per year. We've about cost it all in 1-to-1.
So like we see West and Stevenson come up again 4 years from
Yeah,
now.
it'll be about 4 years.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll take a motion to authorize the purchase of new Chromebooks.
I'll make a motion to authorize the purchase of new Chromebooks from Bloom USA.
All in favor?
Aye.
I heard. So you get your new computers. And we'll move on to executive session to discuss labor contract matters. So this time I'll take a motion for that.
Second.
All in favor? Anyone again?
Yes.
You voted aye already. All right.
Wait, I missed something. No, you didn't.
No, it's okay. Roll call.
Trustee Knox,
Hi.
trustee Fred,
Aye.
trustee Daniel,
Aye.
trustee Benjamin,
Aye.
Mr. Chairman.
Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees, School District number 193, recess from open meeting into the following executive session pursuant to Idaho Code Title 74, Chapter 2, Section 74-206, subsection 1, subsection B, to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or discipline.
Oh, I printed the wrong one. I told John Strong.
I can tell. All right. If I can get it.
No,
No, you should have the right one. It, yeah, this is the one I have. No, that's why I put these in your board packet. They change all the time.
I know they do. Okay. So be it resolved that the Board of Trustees, School District number 193 recess from an open meeting into the following executive sessions pursuant to Idaho Code Title 74, Chapter 2, Section 74-206, 1, subsection 1, subsection J, to consider labor contract matters, Idaho Code Be it further resolved, the following, the executive session, the board of trustees will convene in a public session for further business or adjournment of the meeting. All right, we're in executive session.
10 minutes, is that a record?